This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
If it's Halloween, it must be Saw. Do you remember that? Like the commercials during October when those movies would come out. Oh man, yeah. I watched the trailers for like all the movies the other night. Just to see remember what they were like.
Yeah.
And the first one is like a trailer for a real movie.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are all like trailers for essentially like a theme park ride, the way that they do it. You know what I mean? It's like there's zero attempt at giving you like a plot or characters
or context.
To anything. Just tons of screaming. And then the voiceover, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. It's like, oh, it totally is. It's sort of heartbreaking. Those first couple of Octobers after they stopped doing it, where it was just like to me, like I know to you, when did I drag you on board this?
I think that was
rat infested ship. It was not. It was after that. I know that much. It was either 6 or the last one, 3D.
Was it just 3D?
I feel like it might have been,
because then we went and we did the marathon
of watching all of them.
That was fun.
Yeah.
We should do that again.
Indeed. But so for you, it's like it was an all at once sort of thing of like, oh, this series, holy shit, it's all right there.
Yeah.
I avoided seeing the first movie, not out of being scared, but because somebody that I talked to said it sucked.
Okay.
And then later I watched it and I was like, what the fuck were you thinking? Yeah. I was so mad at that person for doing that to me. Being like, it took me so long. Like, I could have seen that movie in a theater. I mean, I couldn't have at my age, but I know my brother Steve went to see it and he told me about it. And I was like, oh, really? Because I heard it sucked. And he's like, it was pretty good. And I was like, well, I heard it sucked. But apparently it did not suck. So finally saw it on like home video or something like 2 months before the second movie came out. Okay. So it was like, saw the movie and then immediately was like, oh, and then there's a second one coming out. Like, oh, holy shit. And then it was just like a fucking freight train from there every fucking year, going and watching the old ones before going and seeing the new one, like as soon as you possibly could.
Yeah.
To make sure it's not spoiled for you or anything like that. You got to get that fucking twist. That's the thing that it seems like people who either hate it or don't know about it, that they always assume that it's like, oh, you like those Saw movies, then you're really into like blood and guts.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm really not.
Yeah.
It's really not my bag.
It's not that I'm into blood and guts. It's like, I can tolerate it.
Yeah. I mean, there were some parts that were like not so gross where I was like, oh my God, it's so realistic and horrible, because it's all pretty cartoony.
Yeah.
But it was really more just like, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
What are you doing, movie? The end of the sixth one, when the like needle wall thing falls into the dude and pumps him full of acid, and then his body just dissolves in half. I was just like, ew. It was so much more of just like an ew. Like, I don't want to. Come on.
That's a gnarly way to go.
Yeah, what are you doing, movie?
Come on.
I was so much more on board for just how the twist was going to happen. And I was recently in like a little message board conversation about Saw, how like the first movie is its own thing, and that's why we're going to talk about that one on its own, because it's very, very different from the rest of the series. But the rest of those Saw movies, to me, the fun of it all, the horrible pulpy fun, is watching these like very flawed heroes. Yeah. You know, like the second one brings in Donnie Wahlberg, and then there's Carrie. I forget the actress's name. I feel terrible.
Yeah.
And then there's Rig, the SWAT guy, and you know, all these people, and Strom, the FBI guy, and all that. All these are like deeply flawed heroes. How will they fail to learn their lesson?
Yeah.
And what horrible, gruesome fate awaits them when they do, you know, where it's like, that's the whole fun of it, is watching these people going through these things, like failing to pick up on clues that are left behind and trying to figure their way through this game. But of course, their fatal flaw will never let them.
Right.
And then watching it all sort of crumble down at the end of the movie is what's so fun about, like, you should have seen this. You should have seen this coming. There was this, all these obvious clues. You never should have done that. You're dead because you did. You know, it's just so much fun to me. But the first movie is totally different.
Yeah.
Way before James Wan was the Conjuring guy and the Fast and Furious guy, and then the Aquaman guy. Like, what? Aquaman? This dude directed Aquaman?
how did you get there from Saw, James Wan?
Right,
What are
right.
you doing?
It's wild, but it's cool. But way, way before he did all that, there was Saw.
Yeah.
And it was just this little indie movie by some two weirdos from Australia. Got the attention of some producers.
Mhm.
They gave him like $1 million. That's it. And be like, yeah, go shoot your movie.
Yeah.
Do it how you want to do it.
How much of their budget was spent on?
Carrie Elways.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to.
Oh,
put it
and
more-
Danny Glover. Yeah. I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that. So yeah, those two probably ate up a portion of it.
Yeah. So you have 75 grand left. No.
Yeah, right.
That's why it all takes place in a bathroom and an apartment.
Yeah, right. It was all one big warehouse, and they just set dressed rooms
That's awesome.
and like built that bathroom set in the warehouse and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It having been so long since I last saw the movie,
Mhm.
I wasn't necessarily fearing a like Darkness Falls level of disappointment,
Yeah.
but I was expecting some stuff's gonna hold up,
Mhm.
some stuff's gonna feel not quite as good anymore. But I really wanted to keep a running list of mostly stuff that holds up. Every once in a while, I did jot down a negative note about like, whoa, what was that?
I love how it just jumps right in. There's no like scene set. There's no.
Establishing shots
There
of
you go.
anything.
Yeah. There's no establishing shots.
You're just
And then-
underwater.
Yeah. Perfect way to set the tone immediately.
Yeah, it makes you feel what they're feeling.
Yeah.
You know, or it's like you just wake up in a dark room and then the lights come on and you're like, what the fuck is all of this?
Yeah.
I just like the fact that out of all of the Saw movies, it's the only one that feels even remotely plausible.
Yeah.
You're chained in a room and you can't get out. Like, yeah, okay, that's a thing that can absolutely happen.
And probably does.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. He gives him 8 hours
Yeah.
to do this thing. That was something I really specifically looked at on this watch through
Mhm.
because I've seen it a bunch of times, but I've never paid super close attention to that clock and how it moves along. There'll be a couple more moments in my notes where I bring up sort of the clock and the way that things are running,
Mhm.
but it really started to get funny to me, like thinking about it more and more. I also really liked that his voice was actually disguised on the tapes.
Mhm.
Because as the movies went along, it eventually got down to like it's just Tobin Bell
Yeah.
talking on a tape recorder. Like they
Maybe
barely,
being a little gravelly.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was just his own normal voice.
Yeah.
But that first movie, they actually like give it some weird like distortion
mhm.
so that it doesn't sound exactly like Tobin Bell just speaking to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that the voice on the tape was actually disguised, and then immediately after that, because that's the sequence where they get the tape player
Mhm.
and they open up the tapes and they keep throwing shit back and forth
Yeah.
across the room.
Which
Sorry,
okay.
I just wrote they both suck at catching.
Yes, they both suck at throwing, they both suck at catching.
Yeah.
But let's back it up just a moment here to
Okay.
when Adam was using his shirt to get the tape recorder.
Okay.
Gordon is so fucking pushy. Like,
What do you mean?
I understand the stakes, okay?
Yeah.
I get it. Like, it's
I mean,
literally
they
life
haven't
and-
heard the tape yet, so they just know that they're locked in a room. They don't know what it's for yet.
Exactly. Like, they don't know just how high the stakes are yet,
Mhm.
but they know that something's fucked
Yeah,
going on.
something is up. Something's amiss.
But he tells Adam to use his shirt, and Adam grabs the.
The shower, the plug,
Yeah.
the drain plug.
Gordon's like, come on. Like, he's fucking trying.
I am tying it to the shirt, Gordon.
Yeah.
Give me a moment.
Like, oh man, that was just, I felt irritated for Adam.
Which is funny because on my watch through of it, I was realizing more how fucking annoying it would be stuck in a room with someone like Adam.
Well, yeah. For the most part, absolutely feel more sympathy for Gordon.
Like Gordon as a person, probably worse.
Yes.
But to be stuck in a room with, I'd probably prefer Gordon.
Yeah.
Another thing though, like, and based on that sequence where they're throwing shit back and forth across the room, something I wrote down that I noticed back in the day as well, but it just still always strikes me as hysterical, is like the length of that room
Yeah.
is never consistent with how hard they throw things. Like there are times,
and what they're throwing.
yeah, that moment because he tells Larry to throw his tape to him, 'cause
Right.
he doesn't want to break the tape player, and it's like,
Right.
okay, actually a smart move.
Yeah, because clearly no one can catch.
Yeah, but then he's playing the tape, but like he's like sitting in the corner of the room, like he's basically as far away from Gordon as he can be right now.
And then
And
he
he
holds
still
it up
hears
to
it.
him to his own ear.
Yeah, like he's listening to it, and Gordon's sitting there across the room, like I can't hear a fucking thing, but he clearly can hear it because it's a movie.
Yeah.
But then, so he's sitting in
Quiet, echoey bathroom. That's how we heard it.
Yes, of course. So he's sitting all the way in the other corner of the room, and then they hear on the tape like your wife and child will die.
Yeah.
And Gordon gets all super serious about it, and he's like, give me the player. And he's real serious. So Adam's like, oh, okay. But he's still sitting on the floor, and he just gives it a little, like, if you're like tossing something to someone on the couch.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's the remote. He gives that much of a throw, and it just like flies to Larry's hands. Like it almost hits him in the face. It just doesn't make any sense. They do that a lot through the movie where they're like tossing things back and forth across the room with such little effort. It's like, what? No, you kind of gotta give it some air.
Yeah.
It's not going to make it. It's going to land on the dead guy. Imagine if everything, they just never got any of the tapes or any of the things because they just kept trying to throw it to each other and they all landed in the middle of the room. What would he do? Like, you just call the game?
Yeah. Would he like stand up at that point and be like,
start over. This is ridiculous. Didn't realize you guys were such pansies. Would have chained you closer together. Which is another weird thing about the chaining too, like the key that goes in the drain. Like, so that wasn't supposed to go down the drain?
Okay.
Was Adam supposed to have free reign the whole time?
Apparently.
Like, it never made sense to me. And then they try to make it make sense later in the series by having like a thing where they're putting the bathroom trap together. And he says to tie it to Adam's foot, but then Amanda doesn't. So it goes down the drain and everything. So it's like, so yeah, he was supposed to have the key the whole time. What?
Yeah. And but does that key also unlock Gordon?
Well, that's the thing though, is that it's like now Adam can do whatever the fuck he wants. He can take that toilet seat top and walk over and bash Larry in the head and just kill it. You know what I mean? Like the game seems like it's completely broken if one of them can walk around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unless they
like the whole point was to cut your foot off, right? Why would he even give him the option to have the key?
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me. It still doesn't. It never did. I was always wondering, like, it's a good little like fuck you on the end of the movie where he's like, the key to that chain is in the bathtub, and then Adam remembers that it went down the drain, and it was like, no, and it's like, wait a minute, that's what? Why? You've what? He's thought everything out except the key thing was just kind of like let's see if this works. I don't know. We'll try it with 2 other guys if this one doesn't work out. he's got to have like test cases, right?
Yeah,
to make sure everything works right.
Yeah.
Quality control.
Can't use a foam head for everything.
Yeah. And all those trap flashback things are fucking gnarly and cool.
Yeah, they are.
I love that sequence because it's just enough for me. I don't need to see the moment when, the fucking blade slices through someone's belly and their guts fall out.
Yeah.
I just need to see the horrifying setup. Like, that's enough for me. So seeing that whole, like, razor wire cage thing was just like, holy shit. Like, oh, man. And seeing just enough of it.
Yeah.
And that, like, sped up footage of him going through it where you're just like, oh, my God. Yeah.
One thing that still absolutely holds up is that reverse bear trap.
The sequence, with her trap.
Yeah, like that device is terrifying.
Yeah, that's a pretty horrifying concept.
Yeah.
Like
it just rips it
rips your
essentially
face open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing horrifying about that.
Not at
Just
all.
a little face ripping. Yeah, no, it's horrifying. And the scene itself is pretty good. I noted in here that scene is like I never really paid too much attention to the exact structure of the movie when I watched it when I was younger, because it was really more just like, oh, it's a fun horror movie.
Yeah.
But watching it now with a little more of a critical eye to it, I was realizing, I was like, that Amanda scene is like a flashback within Gordon's flashback of the police coming and talking to him.
Yes.
Like I said before, the whole clock thing. Dr. Gordon's first story took 2 hours to tell because they fucking start the movie. They try to saw the chains. They realize that they can't. They have to saw their feet. And Larry's like, I think I know who did this. And he starts telling the story to Adam. Because that's what it leads me to believe. They obviously, he's telling him what's going on here. This movie is essentially just two guys telling each other stories for 8 hours until one of them has to murder the other. That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, if we were to just watch the bathroom in this and not do all the flashbacks, like, he would have to be telling them this story. And then in the middle of his story, he'd have to be like, so then she told us a story about how she woke up in this room and there was this thing. So it kind of makes you think that maybe that scene was a little over the top because it's him remembering someone else's story.
Yeah.
And him telling it to Adam, where it's like, yeah, and then she said there was like a question mark on his stomach, I think. And then he was alive. I forget. I don't know. I might have it mixed up with something else. But it's just really funny because then it goes into, and then Larry tells another fucking story later in the movie, and then it comes back and the clock's moved to like 3 hours. And it's like, oh my God, this dude can stretch out a story.
Seriously.
Just taking forever. Man. And especially telling stories about stuff he had no witness to, really. Because he's like, I was thinking about the last thing I said to my daughter.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a really long sequence of his daughter in her room alone.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up and she goes and gets her mom, who talks to her about something for a minute, and then they come and get him. And it's like, are you just guessing at what they were doing, Larry?
Yeah. Adam did get his story of when he remembered what had happened.
Oh my God. Sorry, wait, did you happen to write a note? I wrote a note about that part. For one, Carrie always can't scream in an American accent. Something I noticed. He can do American accent pretty well for most of it.
Yeah.
He can't do the word murder. It was just murder. Like, if he was from Boston, it might work, but it really doesn't. He clearly slips into a sort of accent on that. And then when he starts yelling, he cannot yell in an American accent. It just comes out British. But then right after that is when they do the fake cigarette thing.
Oh, right.
And Adam play acts dying. Still hilarious. I still love that.
So over the top.
Oh my God. And that right at the end where he's like, and then closes his eyes.
Yeah.
Just for good measure. It's like the camera can't even see you from there.
Yeah.
And you're still going to close your eyes for good measure. But like you were saying, though, when Adam remembers everything, just before that, he gets electrocuted, because he's playing dead and they electrocute him. And then he's like, oh my God, something shocked me. And then immediately he's like, I remember everything now. Like, did the shock do that? That's all I could think now. I was like, did it shock his memory back? Because those are the only two things that happen in that moment. He gets shocked, and then he's like, suddenly is like, I remember everything. It all came rushing back. It was good. But Adam's kidnapping.
That was such a great setup.
Right.
He mentions earlier in the movie that he was in his shithole apartment.
Uh-huh.
What shithole apartment has a fucking dark room in it?
I mean...
Come on.
We didn't see all of it. He might not have a toilet or something. You know what I mean?
He literally has a shitting hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like he might, all the money that he has might go to that dark room.
Yeah, I guess. The way that he goes around the brilliant idea of using the camera flash. And just the noise of it, that being the only sound you hear is the flash essentially cooling off so it can go off again.
Yeah.
It was so amazingly tense.
I think it's really the highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
In terms of just set pieces of a horror movie set piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. And it really shows you this is the guy who went on and made Insidious and The Conjuring and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Makes sense. The dude just has an eye for a really suspenseful scare sequence. He knows what he's doing. And that moment there was wow, perfect. It's great. Oh yeah. And I wrote, Adam's story takes over an hour.
Well, at least he kept it shorter than
Larry.
Did.
And then the next thing I wrote was murders. Because I couldn't get over it. Because he says it twice in the movie. He says, early in the movie, he's like, after he tells the story about Jigsaw, he's like, tried to set me up for murder. And it's like, there's one. And then later when he's talking about Tap again, and he's like, he went insane after his partner got killed. He was convinced that I had to have something to do with the murder. It's still so British. I thought it was really funny. Murders. Oh, I also wrote new metal when Adam's going to his apartment.
Yes.
It's like more new metal, 2004.
Why are we always watching movies with new metal?
That's the theme. That's the whole theme of the podcast. Movies with new metal. New metal for dinner. Also, this time it's, oh, fuck, that's right. She's in this. Monica Potter from Parenthood.
Yep.
As Mrs. Gordon.
Yep. Remember that as soon as she came up on screen. Like, oh right. Right.
I wrote this note down too about how Zepp, it's weird that he seems to get off on scaring them with the gun, even if he's being like, I guess extorted is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
In order to kill this family. And he gets off on it really hard. And it just made me think like that maybe this guy's not a good guy. Like maybe I shouldn't care if they kill him at the end or feel bad that he was like intertwined in a game of his own where it's like, oh, he was going to die. And it's like, maybe he deserved it. Maybe he should have just died. Zepp, you should have saved everyone a lot of trouble and you should have just wandered off into the wilderness and died instead of doing this because you suck. You are the worst.
It's like, are you really that mad at a doctor for not knowing John's name?
Yeah, really? It's like you're that a
you're
psycho,
gonna,
Zepp.
yeah, you're going to agree to hold a gun to his wife and daughter's head. Like,
you're a lunatic. You probably would have done that even if you weren't dying.
Yeah.
You're just that fucking weird.
You just needed someone to give you a gun.
Yeah.
Also,
so that was really weird.
Do you know why he's called Zepp?
No. Did you look it up?
No, but I'm making an educated guess that it's after Zepp cleaner that is often used as a disinfectant in hospitals.
Huh. It's possible. I mean, he calls him Mr. Hindle at the end. But I don't think they give like a real first name. Yeah. Because it's like Zepp very well.
I feel like, no, I think Larry says it, or he might just tell the interns that he goes by Zepp.
He just says something like, he's like, oh, he's a very interesting person, Dr. Gordon. He's like, thank you, Zepp. As you can see, the orderlies, and then he talks to the students like they share a special bond with the patients. But yeah, I think that's all he really says. But then later, when he sees the pictures and stuff, he's like, Zepp. Ooh, Zepp, you little Zepp. Oh, I'll Zepp you. Oh.
Probably because he never learned.
Yeah, he never learned his name either.
Yeah.
Sorry, in terms of the time, another note I wrote down is like, cut back to bathroom 3 hours later. Now their shitty attitudes and bickering makes sense. Yeah. It's like I never really thought about it in terms of how long they're in there. And then it's like by the end of the movie, you're kind of sitting there and since it's an hour and 40 minutes or whatever, you're kind of like, guys, just work together. It's not they can't be that annoying. Yeah. Over the course of time and what we're seeing. And it's like, okay, you're there for that fucking long. And you can only imagine that Adam just won't stop asking questions or that someone is like leaving out details when they're telling the story. And they're like, wait, who was that? Like, oh, did I not tell you about? Oh, okay. So he had this partner, this Asian guy, Singh. He got shot by shotguns. That was diabolical. I love that trap. That is the coolest thing. Cause that's an actual like trap of like, I'm going to lure you into this to get you to walk through that cobweb. Yeah. And trip that thing and fucking kill you. That's fucking diabolical. I love that. Always thought that was one of the cooler things. And obviously not cool. Like, I love seeing people die. but just clever. Horror movie. Yeah. Clever bad guy trap of like, oh. Nice. That's a good one.
See what you did there.
Not bad, buddy.
Okay. So real quick, when the two cops, they see he was watching the video and they see the graffiti
the gang sign and whatever,
and so they figure out the warehouse. The partner mentions getting a warrant. They're real quick to break the law. I mean, I know horror movie, you got to do what you got to do to move the plot along, but as cops, they were just they jumped the gun real quick.
It was almost kind of funny the way they did it though, because he's like, oh, you think that's enough for a warrant? And he's like, who needs a warrant? Let's just go right now. And he's like, yeah, okay, right now. Yeah. That was it. Which I did notice. I was like, oh man, poor Singh. He was like 2 feet from the door to go to the bar with all of his buddies. Yep. And fucking Tap called him back. It was like, you got to look at this. And then by the end of the night, he's dead.
Yep.
Like, oh, Sing, you're so close.
You were so close to just having some beers.
Bummer for Sing.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that Gordon goes through with cutting his foot off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously the movie it's sort of a Chekhov's hand saw, where it's like, if you show a hand saw that's supposed to cut feet off at the start of a movie, by the end of the movie, it better have cut a foot off.
Yeah.
Like, even so, I like that it's just like, he just goes fucking berserk and just starts screaming. And Adam's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I love his reaction to it, where he's just like, oh my God, wait, no. We're not supposed to go super crazy. And he just loses it and fucking cuts his goddamn foot off.
So one thing I noticed, at least to me, that I felt didn't really hold up was the person with the pig face mask crawling to get Gordon.
Really? I wrote down that pig mask Jigsaw is the scariest Jigsaw. Those moments I thought were the moments that were just like, oh, like skin crawling, where it's just like, it's like, you know that it's not a monster, but it's still just so unnatural looking.
Yeah.
That it always gives me a little like, oh God, I would hate to be in a scenario and see that sort of shit.
Yeah. I mean, specifically the scene where Gordon is captured.
No, I know.
But like, because like elsewhere in the movie, like I give it credit that it is a good villain mask.
Yeah.
That particular scene, for some reason, it looked cheesier to me in that scene. I don't know if it was the way that the person was moving, or because at that point we don't really know if it's Jigsaw or if it's Zepp.
I don't know. I love that shot of the parking garage mirror as it's getting out of the back seat. That's
Great
the
shot.
part that gets me. I love that.
Something about the mask in that scene just doesn't do it for me.
Bummer. So he cuts his fucking foot off, and he shoots Adam. You know, the whole thing is coming to an end. I still just can't help but like laugh at fucking Zepp's facial expression when he opens the door into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, he last turned off that monitor.
Yeah.
And they were both still chained up to either side of the room. And everything was pretty much cool.
Yeah.
And then he comes back, he finally gets there and he opens the door and it's like, holy shit, okay, so his foot's off, and he's dead. Wow, okay. Like he takes a moment to take stock of what's happened.
Yeah.
And then Gordon sees him and starts yelling at him. But I just love that look on his face where he just like scans the whole room real quick, like, oh, okay, game has changed.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now I know what to do. Okay.
You're too late.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just wrote with an exclamation point because I love it so much. Adam to the rescue when he fucking takes out Zepp with the toilet tank lid.
Yes.
God, so fucking great. I love that moment. Like since the movie ends so dourly with such a fucking downer of an ending, it's nice to have that like one hero moment.
Yeah.
Where he like finally proves his worth and like does something.
Yeah.
And he gets to just smash his fucking face in with the toilet lid.
Speaking of facial expressions, Adam's face when John Jigsaw gets up.
Oh, yeah.
The holy shit, what the fuck is going on?
I'm sure that was the face on everyone when they first saw that movie.
Yeah.
Of just being like, wait, what? And he rips off the like latex fake head wound and you're just like, oh man, what?
Oh.
And it's super cool. And then other things start falling into place. Like, oh, okay, that's why they were easily shocked, and that's why their plans never worked, and you know, that sort of stuff. But to me, the moment that like really grabbed me and made me love the ending of that movie, it's like that whole sequence with him getting up off the floor is like just putting the cherry on top. But the whole fucking thing was just when Adam finds that tape, when he finds the tape player on Zepp's body and he hits the button and you hear Jigsaw's voice.
Yeah.
And it's just, hello, Mr. Hindle. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
They haven't really given you any reason to not think that Zepp is Jigsaw.
Right.
So when he has a tape on him, and you realize that he has not been Jigsaw this whole time, that's the twist.
Yeah.
Because you don't really ever get to know John.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When they show him and they show a quick flashback and it's like him laying in a hospital bed. Like, remember when you saw him for 2 seconds earlier in the movie? You know, so it's not like it was him, because who gives a fuck if it was him? It could have been literally anybody. It didn't matter. What mattered was just that Zepp wasn't Jigsaw. That was the twist to me. And I loved it so much. And people talking about how stupid and like unfair, because it's unpredictable. You couldn't possibly predict that the dead guy is alive the whole time. So it feels like a cheap twist. And it's like, yeah, but that's not really the twist to me. Just the twist of who you think the villain is.
Yeah.
Just you being wrong about that. That's all I need is like, oh,
shit.
Exactly. It's super cool. And I really dig it. And I remember that being the moment that dropped my jaw when I first saw it. Was like, it's not Zepp. And then the rest was just extra mindfuckery.
Yeah.
Adam really did get a raw deal with that key.
Yeah, he did.
Like, that's a real bummer. Who knows how it was supposed to play out, but it's like, was it just to taunt him? I don't even know. It seems so cruel. I don't get it. It's the one thing that really has bugged me about watching the movie. It doesn't necessarily like deflate it horribly, but it is something like every time I watch it, I think about that. I'm just like, what is the deal with that? Why is the key even near him?
Yeah.
Is there one for Gordon also hidden somewhere? Like near where Gordon is? Where he could find it? Like, are there more clues to this game that they just didn't find?
Yeah.
You know, something to fill those 8 hours that they only found the bare minimum of things. Like, there's a whole nother game, guys. There's like chess pieces, microscopes. You guys missed a lot. Man.
Spent too much time telling stories.
Yeah, exactly. You guys should have shut the fuck up and buckled down and found something. The whole point of this game was to make you guys friends. You were supposed to unlock the chains and walk out, but no.
Freak out when you wake up in a tub half full of water.
Yeah, maybe I need to rethink my approach, but I still think it was a good plan, and you guys would have been great friends. That finale, that just game over, door slam, and then Adam screaming over those credits is just so fucking like, oh my God, that movie went everywhere it said it would go. Because they mentioned, you know, it's like, oh, you know, these saws are for cutting off feet, not for cutting through chains. And Gordon cuts his foot off. Yeah. And at the end of Gordon's tape, Jigsaw's like, you know, if you don't do it by 6 on the clock, I'll leave you in this room to rot. And then he does that to Adam at the end. He's like, oh, you're over there? You didn't win the game? Well, peace out. Yeah. And locks him in the room. You know, it's just like, it does all the horrible shit that it told you it was going to do. It's like, oh man. The only thing that it didn't do is fucking like kill the kid. Yeah. That was it. I don't know if any of them have, I mean, the third movie is about a dad whose kid died. Yeah. But they don't like, there's no like, and the kid is in the trap and his head blows up or something weird like that.
No minors are put into
traps. As far as I know, it seems like he lets juvie do its work on minors, but then once they turn adults, then they can be stuck in the trap. Well, wait, what? Gordon's kid, how old was he?
Oh, that's true.
Or not
true.
Gordon. Matthews.
Yeah.
Donnie Wahlberg. His kid's supposed to be in like high school or something. I mean, he's probably like 18. He makes the cutoff. Yeah. You're old enough. Okay.
Plus, you have a cop dad. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You should know better.
It was a lot of fun watching it again, though, because it really has been one of my favorite horror movies. Like, the whole series afterwards makes it like seem like it's an embarrassing thing to talk about. Like, I've seen people talk about that online about how like it's embarrassing to say that you like Saw. Yeah. Because people immediately look at it as like, what a like low class shithouse horror movie series. And it's like, well, okay, for one, it's super fun outside of the horrible gore. Yeah. I love twist endings, and that's what this movie promised every October. It's like, you want another twist ending? And I was like, yes, please. So, you know, I don't know what to tell you. But also that first movie is just a really fucking good movie, and it's got plenty of, you know, first movie problems. Right. And cheap movie problems and stuff like that. But you have to look past it. Yeah. There were so many reviews when the movie came out that were comparing it to like David Fincher. And it was like, he's David fucking Fincher. He's already made Seven and Fight Club at this point. Like, he is a fucking master. Of course, this is not going to be David Fincher, you fucks. Because it has a sort of similar vibe to Seven. Because
Okay.
Seven is about, the seven deadly sins. There's a killer who's kind of using people's sins against them, and
Okay.
there's detectives hunting him, and it's Morgan Freeman instead of Danny Glover. But you get that there's like a
Mhm.
similarity to it. That's really kind of where it ends.
Yeah.
The movies are very, very different. But people really latched onto that and were like, Saw's just trying to be Seven. It's like,
Not really.
I mean, it's pretty good though, right? I
Yeah.
love Seven, but Saw can be its own movie too.
Yeah.
The rest of them though, holy shit. I could do an episode on like each one of those and why they both made me super giddy and excited, and also what about them I fucking hated. They all had stuff like that. There's like none of them felt like this first one where it's like, this movie's just a really good movie and I really dig it. The rest of them were like, that was fun. Also, what the fuck? It was really goofy. But I think that's gonna have to wrap it up for this episode of Popcorn for Dinner. I'm Jeff.
I'm Kelly.
We're leaving.